All right, y'all, we back. I don't know what happened, but I got cut off. But you know the story. Excuse me, I'm eating something. One monkey don't stop no show, so we're gonna continue the show. And I'm back on my laptop, so I ain't only thing I own about my laptop. I didn't download. As a matter of fact, I do got my pictures on here. I just don't like fucking with my laptop because it's a smaller screen, and I got my desktop elevated, so it's kind of high, so I can sit back and read it. So here I'm gonna be, So let's get with it. Just give me a minute. Y'all gonna hear me eating, so excuse me. I don't mean be on no nigga shit. All right, so we is right here. All right, let's go. Mm. Let me see how many people we got here before we go. All right, I'm gonna wait till we get about 30 people in before I start. You asked me that going lunch. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. The computer cut off. I know y'all seen that black screen. I don't know what the fuck that shit was. I thought it was gonna be a white man pop up on there, like, stop doing what you're doing. Oh, we got 20. So what I had to do was I had to shut my computer down. I had I had to reboot it, and I had to get my articles that I had open and put them on my laptop because I didn't have them on my laptop. We got 24. So when we get 30, I'm gonna go in. $25. We almost there, y'all. Oh, we lost one. Man down. 2 men down. Okay, we starting to come back up. 24. All right, they playing with the numbers. Fuck it. Let's go, y'all. All right, so what I was talking about prior, before I got cut off, showed you that they was enslaving us here. Showed you that numerous different scenarios, and now we starting to understand what they was doing here and how they was falsely and how they was taxing us. Like the ones that was taxed was Indians. The ones who wasn't taxed was considered to be Negroes. All right, now check this out. Let's continue with this. So it says 1868. The white people in Sampson County, as a rule, have classed these Indians with Negroes and refused to accept them except as Negroes. They have consequently been forced in a measure with the Negro race, but they steadily refuse to be classified with the Negroes. They have refused to attend churches and schools of the Negroes or commingle with them on the turn. Now, we know because people had their tribal identity that might happen, but they still are black. It is marvelously that they have been able to maintain their racial status so well under the adverse social political status which has been forced upon them by white people, physically described over the years. Dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, mixed blood, almost white, at the least mixed blood Caucasian Indian, and to quote the Jackson County School Superintendent, from the appearance could very easily be considered along the white race. That's bullshit. Of course, possibly they might have a large percentage of Indian blood. We must take all the evidence and the whole boil it down and come down to a conclusion. The Appalachiola, whatever, Chera was considered to be persons of Indian ancestry and were not legally socially held to the restrictions of the bearing of Negro. That's just one, all right? So we're going to go to the next one. Hold up. I had something else I wanted to touch on real quick. It was this one. I don't know why the fuck these ads be popping up. So I'm going to be reading this. It was this one right here. Let me see something. Give me a second, y'all. So right here it say 1790, right? They basically talking about the enumeration. It's saying let's take a look at what the various census instructions to the enumerators and censors form said about Indians. So 1790. Now this is just another point of view from another article. It say omitting Indians, not tax, distinguish free persons, including those to service from all others, Indians living in the wild. Now I say living in the wild, it's quotations. It's saying generally means plains Indians in the West or on reservations were not taxed, but those who was enumerated were recorded in the all other free column on the census form. They were. Okay. So basically, now in 1980, 1800s, Indians living off reservations and not wild have been recorded in the other free person. Now it's saying, look, in the other free persons, okay? But this is what they count, that they're not telling us that they was enslaved. All right. It's saying option were free whites, slaves, and all other free persons. Now remember I showed you that, but it said all other free persons of color. Okay, it said a color. So this is just another. All right, right here, 1820. Indians living off reservations would be recorded in the free color person category. It say other options were free whites, slaves, and all other except Indians not taxed. So what does that tell you? Everybody was classified as color, so your motherfucking ass is an Indian. And everybody else who's classified as color is an Indian, because they cannot prove that they brought us here. All of this information that we are looking at is telling you that it was black people. Now they got all these mysteriously conspiracies to what happened to the Southern Indians, when they just told you all of the Southern Indians west of the Mississippi was classified as motherfucking color. Now look, where was that at? That was on this one, I believe. Was on this one. Hold up. Was on this one. Hold up. Might have been up here. No, I wanted to just show you. All right, right here. Here you go. Right here. It's right in this one. It says, where's it at? It's down here. It's in. It's here we go. It's a light-skinned Negroes trying to pass themselves off as white Indians, giving white or Indians, given that they were only three available categories, white, black, and mulatto, that a person who appeared to obviously mix blood of any kind were listed as mulatto. A person that was taxed could be listed as Indian, who were inherently not taxed. It is not surprisingly that there was only few Indians recorded east of the Mississippi from 1850 to 1990. And we seen why. We seen how they was classified as either in the 1900s. Okay, I mean, well, I meant 1900. You see how they was classified as in the 1900s. So at no point in time did they allow you to claim that you was an Indian. You was a free person of color. The Indians that they allowed to be Indians was the Indians that they encountered that was living west of the west of the Mississippi. That's one. That's one encounter, and the ones that practically sold us the fuck out. Because it showed you the ones that sold us out. It said the Indians. It said the Indians that was working with the Europeans. Them was the ones that was not enslaved and was allowed to stay on their land and do everything else. All right. So we was what was that? We was right here. All right. So let me see something. There was something else on here I was looking for. All right. Let me see. All right, right here, 1850. 1850, in the first census in which every individual in the household was enumerated. Now, look, every individual in the household was enumerated. In prior years, only the name of the head of household was recorded, and all other members was recorded by age grouping by category. In 1850, the instruction says that Indians not taxed, meaning on reservations, were not to be enumerated, and the category for race were white, black, and mulatto. So if your ancestors look dark and was an Indian, chances he was recorded as a mulatto. There was no Indian on a category in the 1860s. What the fuck have I been showing y'all? Okay, Indians not taxed were not enumerated. Okay, so now you understand what's going on. So the Indians that work with them that was not taxed, they was not enumerated. The Indians that were enslaved were enumerated. That's the ones you see on a motherfucking list. And that's the reason why we are going over this, because most people do not understand this. All right. So it's saying, however, the category differed a bit this year. It's saying the family of Indians who have renounced Indian tribal rule, who under the state or territory laws exercise the right as a citizen, are enumerated. In all such cases, right opposite their name in the column 6 under the heading colored. What the fuck have I been telling y'all? Okay, now understand this, right? This is not for the Indians that's in the plane. These are only for the people like prior around this time. They getting ready for this war, and around other time, around pretty much around this time, the Indians in the West was not even really, they wasn't really thinking about them at that point in time, because they was thinking about this war, and they was thinking about what was going on in the North and what was going on in the South. All right. So let's read this one right here. So it's saying there's a census in Indian territory, but Indians are not taxed. Instructions said Indians not taxed are not to be numerated on Schedule 1. Indians off their tribal relations and exercising the right of a citizen under the state territory laws will be included. In all other cases, it's saying IND. It's saying the column for colored, although no provision is made for the enumeration of Indians not taxed. Okay, so that means they ain't got no name for the Indians not taxed, but the Indians that's living off of, no, it's saying it says specifically Indians off their tribal relations and exercising the rights of citizens under the state or territory laws will be included in all cases right in the column for colored. All provisions is made for enumerations of Indians not taxed. It is not desirable for statistical purpose that the number of such persons not living upon reservations should be known. That should be known. They telling they don't know. Assistance marshal are therefore requested where such persons are found within the subdivision to make a separate memorandum of names with sex, age, and body the same in special report and the census office. Okay, so let's go down. So all right, for it say the form gave these race options: colored, white. No, it's saying colored equals white, black, mulatto. It's saying Chinese and Indian. It's saying there was no Indian people on Indian territory. However, this National Archive discussed Indians in the census between 1860 and 1880. The state that 1870 half-breed people have assimilated and adopted white ways to be recorded as white. So there was the motherfucking white Indians that started the KKK. They was basically recorded as white. Okay, let's continue with this. So hold up, man. I already proved that they was calling us colors, but check this out. All right, Indians, not in tribal relations, whether full blood or half blood, who are found mingled in white populations, residing in white families, engaged as servants or laborers, or living in huts or wigwams, it's saying, or outskirts of towns or settlements, are to be regarded as part of the ordinary population. Now, understand this. Do you understand what the fuck is going on, y'all? You can be an Indian anytime you want, but you just gonna have to live, or you just gonna have to pretty much go back to your the original inhabitant. But understand though, then they gonna make it hard for you to do that. So let me restate that. You could be an Indian in mind, but it's kind of hard to really live off the land because certain places closed off, and you already see how it is. But pretty much they telling you in this one, saying Indians and non-tribal relations, whether full blood or half bloods, who are found mingled in the white population, reside in the white family, engaged as servants or laborers. Do you understand that shit? Do you understand what the fuck is going on? Indians, full blood or half blood, who have been found mingled in white population, residing in white families, engaged as servants and laborers. What Indians do you know was a servant and a laborer in the 1800s, or living in wigwams, outskirts of town or settlements, are regarded as a part of the ordinary population of the country for the constitutional purpose of apportionment of representatives among the states, and are to be embraced in the numeration. What the fuck have I been telling y'all? People been saying they wasn't enumerated, but anybody who was pretty much a prisoner of war, who was living in white society. So if you was a slave, you was an Indian slave, and you was living in white society, then you was enumerated. But we're gonna get down to the reason why they wasn't classifying you as an Indian. All right, it's saying, however, in 1880, instruction for color are not specified as how to record Indians or those mixed heritage color. It might be assumed that where nothing is written in a column, white is to be understood. The column is always to be filled. Be particularly careful in reporting the class mulatto. The word here generic and includes quadroons, octoroons, and all persons having a perceptible trace of African blood. Important scientific results depend upon the correct determination of the class in the schedule 1 and 5. All right. Oh, the further we go down, they talk more about just all different races and how it evolved. But pretty much it tells you right there, man. It shows you how we was only classified as colored, man. So it's going to be hard to prove. And like this one right here, that I read the first time, it clearly states since the beginning of African slave trade in America, many Native American persons have unfortunately been determined of the no deterred deterrement of their Indian heritage were listed as black, mulatto, and negro in order for white slave owners to keep an ample supply of slaves. Many blood Indians have lost their God given heritage due to slavery in the southern states, man. Who was in the southern states? Who was in the southern states? Now look, in which approximately 28 now, this is because the rest of the nigga pop, the rest of the Negro, the rest of the Indians is watching Love and Hip Hop and listening to the rest of this. They ain't on cold or on our frequency. That's why the numbers like that. It's saying which approximately 24,000 or more full blood Indians of color, men, women, children alike, are forced by white slave owner to take part in slavery. And that is a tragedy starting from the first census, which I showed you, which we already done been over. It said even taking American Indians was falsely listed on the census as Negro, black, and mulatto, an error which was passed down from generation to generation to the present. If you know you're Indian and you don't know why you can't find yourself on the census stating this, it is because of the white census taking, no, the white census taking being instructed. Who was instructing them to ignore your Indian heritage and paint mostly southern states? Mostly southern states. Where was most of the people in the southern states? Who most of the people in the southern states? In America with either black or white population. Okay, it says go to your grandmother oral history. Okay, so we ain't even going further on that. Like I said, that's another article. We just read 3 articles that told you that they was classifying fucking us as colored, man. That's it. Let's go. Now let's hit this out the park. What was it? All right, this one right here. This is the one I read yesterday, right? But we're gonna show you something in this one. This one going to conclude it. All right. So we're gonna get with this. So give me a second. Now look, the first name, it says Nat, an Indian boy. Now we know Nat. The Nat we know is Nat Turner. Okay. Now I'm saying Nat, an Indian boy, which I already heard numerous people, such as Peter Moon, other people say. Actually, they said Nat Turner wasn't one of them Virginia tribes. He actually, according to them, was a Montaukett, because that's the real name. It's not Montaukett. 1877. Nat, an Indian boy in custody of Mary Greenlee, who detained him as a slave, complained of being held unlawfully. Slave commissioned to take disposition in Carolina and elsewhere. Okay. Now look, on the complaint, Nat, an Indian boy of Musty, who say he is to be set free from the service of Mary Greenlee. Nothing appeared to this court but a bill of sale for £10 from one Cheryl Harris of Granville County, North Carolina. Through several assignments was made over to James Greenlee, deceased late husband, to the said Mary. It's saying said mulatto or Indian boy is to be a free man and no slave. Okay. Now listen to this. Nat was most likely half Indian And so therefore mulatto or muskie could be interchangeable. It's saying use of the terms were influenced by status of his servitude. Okay, so we got Charles County, 1690. Thomas Mayo, an Indian boy, belonged to Evans, is a judge of 14 years old. Chesterfield County. Okay, look. Sybil. Sybil, an Indian woman held in slavery by Joseph Ashbrook, have leave to prosecute her for freedom of former properties. Now I say informer properties. Okay, to persecute her informers properties, right? Now look, an informers properties is a motherfucking fee waiver, right? When you suing someone, you can waive the fee with an informer's properties or waive. That's the same shit. You can waive. That's like kind of a discharge paper too. Like you can kind of waive the bell too, but I've heard people say they waive the bell with an informer's properties, but you can definitely do any legal suit or any legal claim with an informer's properties if you do not have the fee to get the paperwork processed. All right, so Sybil, an Indian wench. It's saying Sybil, an Indian wench. Listen to this. It's saying Joseph Ashbrook took the disposition of Elizabeth Blankenship and Thomas Walmack. Sybil, a mulatto, Joseph Ashbrook dismissed. Sybil was most likely less than full-blood Indian. She was described as an Indian up until the point it was determined that she was a legal slave. Now, look, it says she was described as an Indian up until the point that she was described as a legal slave. Then she was described as a mulatto. Use of the term is influenced by status of her servitude. Okay, listen to this shit. Listen to this. 1794, registered, free papers, Nancy Coleman. Now listen to these motherfucking names, my dude. Sybil. I know black people who name is Sybil. Okay? Look and listen to these names. You don't know no damn Indians by the name of no fucking Sybil or Nancy Coleman. Listen to this. Register free papers of Nancy Coleman, a dark brown, mulatto woman, freed by judgment of General Court of John Hardaway, being a descendant of an Indian. It's saying a dark brown. I mean, she was fucking black, dark. She was as dark as they can be. Listen to this. 1798, registered free papers of Daniel Coleman, a dark brown free Negro or Indian. Why would they say or Indian? Formerly held a slave by Joseph Hardaway. It's saying, but or obtained his freedom by a judgment. 1800s, register free papers, Hager Jumper, a dark brown mulatto or Indian woman, short bushy hair, obtained her freedom from Stevens dance, being a descendant of an Indian. Man, dude, listen to this shit. Register free paper, Betty Coleman, a dark brown Negro woman, formerly held as a slave by John Hardaway, liberated by judgment, it's saying in court, as a descendant of an Indian. Now, all of these terms, now listen to this shit, man. All of these other terms are applied to you according to your status. Your status was whether you was free or you was in bondage. If you was an Indian in bondage, you would have been a Negro or colored or whatever. Then placed upon being free, you would have been a free person of color. Okay, now, like I told you earlier in this when I started saying, remember, prior to now colored is basically vague. It's a very vague term now. Prior to 1965, the Hart-Celler Act that brought all these immigrants here. Okay, so now East Indian could be colored, dark Chinese can be colored. So understand. But prior to that, it was only two people here. The people who was here that was classified as colored in the 1700s, they classification was changed to black. Simple. Listen to what I'm reading here. You have to be on the short bus not to be able to understand the work that I just fucking put together, showing you how they was classifying Indians as colored. That's it. That's it. That's the end result that we needed. That's all we needed. We needed to find information that presents and telling you they fought we show they was classifying you as colored in the early 1700s. They was classifying you as colored in the 1950s. Okay, the gig is up. We know, and they're telling you, and they're not hiding it. We are the people who stupid. They're giving us all these freaking clues to who the fuck you was, and we sit here and we fight among other Pan-Africans, and these niggas is ignorant. They're telling you that the Southeast Indians got the same culture as so-called West Africans. That's one cue, but in the same breath, he's telling you that, yeah, it was black people already here in the Southeast or whatever. And then they telling you, the Southeast Indians are now classified as colored. Come on, man. They telling you. But we are the motherfuckers who dumb. Like, so I guess it's for the people who pretty much understand, and you can get other people and sway their opinion to where they will understand that they are a full-blooded fucking Indian or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you can sway all right, we all know. So let's say like this, we all know, okay? Other people, everybody not going to wake up. And some people, this shit doesn't matter to. It just really doesn't matter to. People got good jobs to where they got money to where, and even if you do got a good job, if you being lied to that you are African and you really an Indian, you should want to know that. You should not want this shit. This shit matters because it matters if you participate in anything ethnicity or anything ethnic dealing with your ethnicity and let's say for example, if you are a lawyer and you got all this money and everything, but you participate in let's say Kwanzaa, or you go to these African festivals and all that, right? So it's important to you some bit about your culture, obviously, right? So wouldn't you want to know your true culture? When all along your people was telling you who you was, but you was in denial? And they already told you, if you got colored on your birth certificate, you find everybody got somebody with colored on their birth certificate. Every black American has one person with color on their birth certificate. And that's the reason why I think Obama changed the birth certificate, even though he changed and took Negro off. But Negro, if you was a Negro, and that's kind of a vague term in this country, Negro. Anybody who look like us could be a Negro. And like I said, that's the reason why we need to find our own classification and start classifying ourselves. All right. So let me get back into this because this shit is very interesting. All right. So look, where was we at? Where the fuck was we at? Oh, all right. We was Elizabeth right here. All right, boom. So Elizabeth's daughter, Ruth Mazars, a free mulatto, is saying baptized by Reverend William Douglas, St. James Norton Parish. It's saying Cumberland County Court. It's saying bind out the children of Ruth Mazars, an Indian woman, to William Fleming. It's saying Ruth is described as a free mulatto at one time and an Indian at another. Okay, so it's saying Thomason Cumberland. It's saying bring before the court his servant mulatto man Robin. It's saying and inform the court that he have several times run away. It's in order to serve 1 year from the release date. Robin filed against Major Cumberland next court. It's saying Robin, an Indian, ordered free from Thomas Cumberland. It's saying service to end of year service. Thomas Cumberland against his servant Robin Mulatto is saying have unlawfully absent himself for 16 weeks. Robin is described as a mulatto until he is determined to be legally held as a slave. Then he is described as an Indian, saying use of terms is influenced by his servitude. I'm sorry, by servitude. His former master tactfully uses the term mulatto to influence the court to return him to slavery. Peg, an Indian woman belonging to Richard Longan, appeared to be a judge free. It's saying he be summons. Peg, a mulatto servant born in county whose mother was an Indian, saying entitled to freedom at the age of 30 years, having petitioned her freedom against her master, Richard Lagan, saying mulatto is used to describe an Indian half-blood. Okay, petition. Tom, a mulatto or musty, setting forth that he is the grandson of a white free woman. It's saying and haste a just right freedom, but that his master Andrew Trent contrary is saying contrary to the law or equally detain him in slavery. Sorry, let me open this up, y'all. All right, I think that's better right there. All right. Hold on, let me make sure. All right, we was right here. All right. So 1739 on the petition, Indian Jamie Elias James Musty is exempt from paying county levies. 1740 petition Thomas Block saying it is ordered that the church warden, the Dell Parish, do bind out Joe, a mulatto, the son of Nan, an Indian woman, according to law. Mulatto is used here to describe the Indian half-blood. 1747, the will, Richard Randolph, to my son John, third part of my slaves, saying he taking my two, listen to this. He taking my two Negroes, Indian John and Exit, as a part of his third, which two Negroes I propose he shall have. Now listen, it's saying Indian is described here as a Negro. The term is influenced by his servitude because they are in servitude. Now, why would they confuse an Indian with a Negro? Hmm? Okay. All right. So let's continue. I don't need to read that right there. Let me see. I don't need to read that. I'll read this one right here. All right. So 1764, Patrick Blouch to my wife Judy Blouch, all my land in Louisiana. Also, the following Negroes to wit Indian Ben and wife Becky Kinney and their son Tom. 1798, the Kinney family released from slavery based on the testimony of William Denton that they descended from an Indian woman named Joan Kinney. Listen to these names, y'all. Come on, man. Like the gig is up, y'all. I know they listening, man. The gig is up, y'all. Okay? If any federal or any governmental agents listening, the gig is up, man. We know, man. We know we Indians. We know we've been here, man. The gig is up. You cannot hide it no more. You did not hide it good. You tried to, but hey, man, you did not hide it good enough. Sorry. So Joan Kinney, who was an elderly woman in 1729, and she came from an Indian town in Pump Monkey. Indian Ben Beck Kinney described as Negroes. Later released being on no later released based on being Indians. The term is based on servitude, okay? The word term Negro is based on servitude, okay? It's based on servitude. Okay, listen to this. 1713, the trial examining George, an Indian mulatto criminal, is saying inhabited of the Waikamau, I can't, Moco, no, all right, the Waikamauco Indian town for murdering Allen Durrett confesses he struck him with a stake. It's saying John Vesey is saying carried him into a house of Indian John. It's saying use the term mulatto here to describe a Indian half blood. All right. So let's continue. You see how you see this shit, man. Y'all see it, man. They're like, come on, man. You know, it's like this shit is out there, man. You just gotta really look for information and you'll find it. All right, 1741, 1745. Robin, a Negro man, now in possession of Thomas Clark, is saying petition for leave to sue for his freedom. Robin, an Indian man, against Thomas Clark, trespass, assault, and forceful imprisonment. Saying we find that James Jones, late of Prince George County, in the year of our Lord 1693, was in possession of an Indian girl named Sarah, a slave, and that we did not find the said girl in the year aforesaid was 4 years old. We find that the parents of the native county of the said girl was heathens and idolaters. It's saying we find that the aforesaid girl did live and die in the service of aforesaid James John as a slave. We find that Robin is issued of aforesaid Indian Sarah. So it's saying Robin described as a Negro until she proved his Indian descent. Then he is described as an Indian. Use the term influenced by servitude. All right, remember that. 1818, James Hick, a free man of color, brown complexion. Now they saying brown. Now you see in the other one, they were saying dark brown. Okay, so you can't. There's no way you can get that wrong. Why would they say a dark brown person will be identified as an Indian? Why? Okay, so James Hicks, a free man of color, brown complexion, 34 years old. It's saying born free of an Indian mother per certificate from Sussex County. All right, it say non-white parents are held under suspicion of servitude and thus Negro ancestry until she proved otherwise. Okay? So let me go down. All right, let's read this right here. So William Chavez was arrested and charged as a free person of color with carrying a gun. Matter of fact, we already went over that one. We kind of went over that. And we went over this right here. This is the same. It has the same content as the other article right here when the Senate is asking Lennox, is he a Negro, and repeatedly keep asking him. He keep telling them that we found Indians, and he like, no, they Negroes, and he like, no, they Indians, and he going back and forth. It's the same content right there, but this content is different. All right, so it's saying every person not considered to bear Negro ancestry could be called mulatto as late as 1870. The term Portuguese use here to infer Spanish to the Indian ancestry. Portuguese also used by persons of North Carolina origins residing in South Carolina, Tennessee, etc., to describe mixed Indian white persons from North Carolina, Virginia border area during this same period. All right. So Virginia Gazette, 1752, runaway from the subscribers living in Hanover County about the middle of March last. It's saying a young Indian fella named Ned, about 20 years of age, pretend to pass as a freeman. Ned identified as an Indian influenced by his servitude. Isaac, an Indian slave, aged 40 years, ran away from the plantation. Listen to this, ran away from the plantation on George Creek in Beckenham. It's saying he was born and lived many years in Brook of Chickahominy. Remember, Chickahominy is a tribe. It's saying, and has some connections. It's saying some connections in Goots land. It's saying where he may probably become. No, he may probably be at present. It's saying he wore long curly hair before his elopement. It's saying, but the countenance of his disposition altogether an Indian. Okay, say all together in Indian. So it said committed to prison to York, a Negro boy who said he is free and was born in an Indian town on the Pamunkey River. Okay, that's what I said. All these places is on a river or a lake because we already know why. So it say York identity as an Indian influenced by his servitude. 1770, Prince George County. It's saying runaway from the subscriber on Monday the 19th. Negro fella named Frank of a yellow complexion. He has a wife among Indians on Indian town of Pamunkey River. 1772, committed to public jail. James City Prison, a runaway woman named Molly. She belonged to Charles Budd, Charles City County. About 40 years, have a prominent nose, and her complexion would pass for one of the Indian race. 1772, a runaway subscriber in Cumberland, a mulatto man named Jim, who is a slave but pretend to have a right to his freedom. His father was an Indian of the name Cheshire. It's saying, and very likely will call himself James Cheshire or Chink. Like I said yesterday, I know somebody named Chink. I know a nigga named Chink. He said he is a short, well-set fella, about 27 years of age, long black hair, resembling an Indian. Used mulatto to describe Indian half-blood. It's saying use a term influenced by servitude. 1772. Committed to jail or sorry county. It's saying a Negro man who says his name is Tom and that he belongs to Benjamin Clemens of Sussex, appeared to be of Indian breed. It's saying person of obvious Indian ancestry described as a Negro. Look, as a Negro. Described, it said person of obviously Indian ancestry described as a Negro. Okay? All right. I hope y'all see what the fuck is going on. I truly do, man. I truly do, y'all. I hope y'all getting this shit, man. I really do. I really do. I hope you guys is getting this shit. All right. So like I said, it takes more. It's like, yo, like you can prove your family, is Indians, but to prove that a whole population of people I'm talking about millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people who've been falsely classified as colored, who now you are classified as colored because you are under the jurisdiction. Under the jurisdiction of the United States, you can't be an Indian and be on basically on Indian, well, I guess among the white population. That's what it was saying. So if you guys understand that, I guess as long as you among white population, you will be considered colored. Outside of white population, you can be an Indian or you can be what you was originally were. You can be that now, but pretty much that's how it's saying. That's how it was in the past, and that's how I see it today. That's the same way I see it today. Okay, we see a lot of shit going on. All right, so let's continue. All right, so let me see, where was we at? All right, so it said, all right, so hold up. It says 17. Hold on, where the fuck was I at? Let me see, where the fuck was I at? All right, okay. It said runaway from the subscribers, mulatto slave named David says he is an of Indian breed. He's saying, and went down to the general court, as I imagine, to sue for his freedom. But now that's what I'm saying. They was suing for their freedom, so they was allowing them to file a foreman's papyrus if they didn't have the money. So sue. So basically, you have to sue somebody. So to sue somebody, you have to pay. You have to pay a fee to process the paperwork. If you don't have the money to pay the fee, what you can do is file an informer's papyrus, and that's called the indigent fee, and you can waive it. All right. So that's the reason why it's saying they suing for their freedom. All right. So it's saying runaway last month, a Negro man named Tom. All right, yellowish. We said that. No, matter of fact, nah. It's saying of yellowish complexion. It's saying much. It's saying much the appearance of an Indian. His hair is different kind. It's saying of that of a Negro. It's now listen. Why would it say a different kind of that of a Negro? Huh? It's saying rather more like an Indian, but partaking in both. It's saying person of obviously Indian ancestry we describe as a Negro. Why would they describe an obviously Indian as a Negro? Hmm? Why? 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 Because the word Negro is not what the fuck we think. The word Negro is not of people. It's of a person of bondage. What they saying that if you was in bondage, you was a fucking Negro. And if you wasn't in bondage, then you was a free person of color. But the only Indians was the Indians that was living off the grid. That's basically what I'm getting out of this. So runaway from subscriber, very bright mulatto man, Steven, saying his wife Probe went away with him, a remarkable white Indian woman. 1776, it runaway from the subscribers. It saying Harry, Virginia, born 5'8" or 5 feet or 9 inches high, 30 years, a dark mulatto. I don't know, how could you be a dark mulatto? How could you be a dark mulatto with long bushy? You already know. He is of Indian breed. Okay, come on now, stop fucking playing. A person obviously of Indian descendant, Indian ancestry, described as a mulatto. 1775, Brute County, North Carolina, runaway, William Tabbs, a slave named Charles of Indian breed, about 23 years of age, with straight black hair, light complexion, raised in George County, Virginia. Saying, all right, South Carolina. I guess this is where it's at, South Carolina, where we at. So it's saying 1731, special meeting of South Carolina House of Commons after a member had announced that a free color man with their white wives have immigrated with the Virginia with the intentions of settling on the Santee River. Report of Robert Johnson. I have had them before in my counsel, and upon examination find that they are not Negro nor slaves, but free persons. It's saying that the father of them here is named Gideon Gibson. The father was also free. Okay, saying the father was also free. Will of Anderson Wood of St. Goose Creek Parish, planter, to be half-breed Indian slaves named Dookie Cox and George Cox, both of Indian slaves named Jenny and Minerva Watkins, both of Indian slaves named Mole manumission upon his death, 1794. Isaac Linenger is saying, and Isaac Mitchell and Joseph Price and Spencer Bolton, William N. Swelt, and 29 others, free person of color, seek to repeal the act for imposing the poll tax on all free Negroes, musty and mulattoes. They wish to support the government, but the poll tax caused a great hardship among the free women of color, especially widows, with large families. It's saying tax collectors hunted them down and extorted payments. It's saying desire a legal system to lump all non-whites in one category. See? See? It's saying a South Carolinian advertisement in North Carolina. It's saying Central of Fayetteville Gazette. It's saying $10 reward to of delivery of the subscribers in Georgetown. A musty servant woman named Nancy Oxenden is saying she is stout wench of a light complexion of 30 years old. It is supposed she has been I'm sorry, let me see. It is supposed she has been traveled away from her brother and sister of later lives in Fayetteville. All right, let me see. Somebody died now. So look, check this out. All right, so Tennessee, 1832, Madison County, free man of color, Richard Matthews, seek permission to marry a white woman. Matthews said he is of Portuguese blood. Gooch County, Virginia, is saying for the Matthew families, 1843, McMinn County, George Sherman arrived in the state in 1830 and now asks permission to remain. A certificate signed by notary public in New York states that he is of mulatto complexion with woolly hair, okay? It's saying, and is an Indian, one of the Nassau Garrett. Now listen, if he was mixed with an Indian, right? If he was, now he's saying mulatto. If he was mixed with white and Indian, why would he have bushy hair? Why would he have bushy hair? Okay? So Claiborne County, a suit pressed by a school teacher, Elijah Goins, who alleged that his daughter husband spoke false, malicious, and scandalous and defamatory words, saying the plaintiff was a mulatto, meaning a person of mixed blood, 1 degree removed from a full-blood Negro. One reason, I'm sorry, said from a full-blood Negro, as reason of which several grievances the plaintiff had been greatly damaged and subjected to the suspicion, disgrace, and insult to the family of a person of a mixed blood. All right, so legal system residing Northampton County, Virginia, petitions in court complaining that a great number of free Negroes inhabiting within this county are great grievances, with particularly because the Negro woman pay no taxes. Virginia passed a law in May 1729 that all free Negro, mulatto, Indian, except tributary, whatever, Indians to this government, male and female, above the age of 16, and all wives, such as Negroes, mulattoes, and Indians, should be accounted as title. We talked about that, them taxes. 1738. Let's see. Hmm. You know what? I don't need to read no more. I'm good. Now, if I'm gonna read the last 1802 in North Carolina case Goble versus Goble. The state, no, the judge stated an acquiescence in the rule laid down by the defendant's counsel. It's saying with respect to the presumption of every black person being a slave. It is No, it is so because because Negroes originally brought to this country were slaves and were descendants must continue slaves until manumitted by proper authorities. If therefore a person of that description claims his freedom, he must establish his rights to it by such evidence as will destroy by force and presumption arising from his color. All dark-skinned persons are assumed to be descendants of Negroes. All right. So, like I said, man, y'all already seeing that one. And this is the other one. This is, like I said, this shit right here tells you everything. Well, it tells you pretty much what they was doing, like as far as the free and the enslaved so-called Indians. Like I said, I read through a lot of this shit the other day when I thought I was still recording, but find out that it cut me off though. But this is the full list of it, and it has all of that shit. It has all of it. Negro, called Negro, colored, mulatto. See, yeah, a bunch of well. I said I'm gonna go over this. I'm gonna highlight some particular ones though, because all of them is not saying the same thing. So I'm gonna go back through this and highlight some of the particular ones, and then from there, I'm just going to probably condense it so I ain't gotta run because it's kind of lengthy. But for the most part, man, I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I hope you guys got something up out of this, man. Showing you how they was classifying as colored, and like most people don't think colored means you have to be light or whatever. No, colored means dark skinned people too. Okay, so don't get it fucked up. So man, I don't want to shout out everybody that came through again. I don't know how many people in the chat room. Let me see. All right, we got 68 people watching it. Hit the like button, please. Appreciate everybody coming back through. Yeah, I just felt like going back over this though. But like I said, we see in numerous occasions they classify people, Indians, as colored people. Okay, they saying if you was living amongst the Europeans, you will be classified as colored. That's it. It ain't nothing else to talk about. Like I said, if you guys you still don't believe it, you still don't understand. That's why they said if you have colored on your birth certificate or somebody got colored in your family, then more likely you are an Indian. Okay, straight up, that's what it is. All right. So I mean, shout out to everybody in the chat room. Shout out to everybody came through. Hopefully, I don't know the status of that other video. I might have to shoot that one again though, but I don't know. It worked out pretty well on my laptop, so I'm probably gonna be shooting it from my laptop from now on because my desktop is shot, man. I don't know what the fuck is up my desktop though, but yeah, that's it. So now you know. And we been knew. Like I said, we can bring it all the way from the anthropologists, what they said. We know what Columbus did and what they did. They brought people from the Caribbean to over there to Spain and Portugal. Okay. The English did not come here and enslave nobody. They was coming here trying to get you to either work for them or trying to get you under their jurisdiction. The ones that fought against them in most cases, and like they said, in some cases, like they said, the ones that surrendered, they still tried to enslave. So, like I said, it depends. I guess it depends on where you was at and what was the situation, though. But for the most part, it's a lot of different things going on. We see free people of color. In most cases, I can guarantee you that the first free people of color was free Indians that was basically working for the people. Okay. So, like I said, man, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm about to get up out of here. My eyes is getting very heavy. I'm gonna probably do a video in the morning. I got a bunch of information. I got some other shit. Um, but yeah, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, man. Cause I enjoy doing this, man. I enjoy definitely. I enjoy letting the people know. Cause it's serious, man. We colored. Just think about it. Think about prior to 1965. All of the colored people, okay? All the colored people, okay? All of the colored people. And think about you never seen, you don't, outside of us black or black Americans being the real Indians, you never seen no people other than white and black people. Now, black people varies. You got some brothers who dark brown, you got some brothers who light brown, you got some brothers who light skin. Okay? Most of us here, we dark brown. I mean, light to dark brown or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We don't have some of the features like Africans or whatever, like outside of like they have these hard features and shit like their eyes be all like, I don't know, they got a kind of a more tribal look to them for some reason. I don't know why. But we don't look like that. Just, yeah, you can look at the skin and say, oh, we the same color, but we don't have the same. Our eyes are not the same. Our nose are not the same. We ain't got the same features. The same, our physiognomy is not the same as Africans. As close as we are related, you know what I'm saying? It's really not. So, for the most part, man, that's pretty much where we going with this. You see, they was classifying your ancestors as colored. You already know who that was. So, you already know what you need to file. Hopefully, you guys know what you need to file. But we'll touch on that at another time. If anybody need me, just email me, chiefatanchan at AOL.com. That's CHIEFAUTOCHTHON at AOL.com. Okay? So with that being said, man, peace.